Oh my god, my bad! My bad! I accidentally forgot to turn on the mic! And to connect the mic to the thing. Alright, so last night we went through that shit. Oh, that was some sad ass shit. Well, I hope you're ready because we have more! I planned on taking a nap, but the boat was really shaking bad. I gave up on sleeping and went on up to the deck. There I was welcomed by the shining sun and a strong sea breeze. Oops, that's supposed to be Angie's voice. Hold on. Oh no, oh no. No, hold on. Oh my god. Sorry, I'm a little... I gave up on sleeping and went up onto the dock. There I was welcomed by the shining sun and a strong sea breeze. Amakusa had been doing some stretches on the deck. He must have had a lot of time on his hands, too. After all, it'd be several more hours before we'd reach Nijima. It only would have taken a couple dozen minutes by airplane, but there was a chance that the Nijima airport was under the Sumidera family's web. The harbor would probably be the same. For that reason, I had obtained a boat that would let me land while avoiding the harbor, no questions asked. I'd bump into a cheery boat captain, piled him generously, and he had decided to help me out amused. Still gonna be a while? I just asked the captain. Sounds like I'll take 2 full hours more. Well, beggars can't be choosers. Hold on, give me a moment. My desk isn't close enough to me. Thus, yeah, okay. The weather sure is nice. Feels like I'll burn. Going to read on the deck? You'll damage your book. Amakusa apparently thought this was because I was clutching Maria's diary under my arm. I've been reading it half asleep, which is why I'd come back still clutching it. How's it going? Think you'll be able to find the truth of Rokenjima from Maria's diary? Who knows? No matter how much I investigate what happened on that island, it won't make for anything more than a theory. There's no truth written in the message bottle or Onei-chan's diary. Just like a fairy tale with a witch walking around. I'm stuck. Looks like you got nothing to look forward to except questioning those involved on Nijima. I imagine the witch hunters have showered them with questions over and over, so I'm pretty sure I won't find any new facts. So even though your hopes are that low, you're willing to spend a half-day trip on a boat to go to Nijima anyway. Talk about fickle. Wait until I start talking about the themes of Umineko, because some of this stuff is very important. It's like a journey of self-satisfaction, so that I can say I investigated. I'm not so naive as to seriously think that the truth of 12 years ago will be revealed. And when you're done with your self-satisfaction trip, what will you do next? Who knows? I haven't thought about it. I'll go to Nijima, ask some people who are involved, and after going to Rokenjima in the end and leaving some flowers, my journey will be over. Several days have already passed since this journey began. After being told by Berncastel on the roof of that building to search for the truth of 12 years ago, I left on a journey like trying to grasp a cloud. At the time, I felt as though I experienced something mystical. I had the feeling I might be able to grasp some kind of miracle at the end of this journey, but after several days passed, my excitement died down. On that day, when I stood on the roof of the skyscraper, my heart was completely cornered and dead. So I wanted from the bottom of my heart to be released from the cage of my body and rise into the sky, and had crossed the fence in order to die. That's important to know. Maybe experiencing the desire to die and actually stepping forwards, throwing my body down, caused some kind of mystical experience inside my head, make me think I received a message from a witch. The excitement from my jump lessened over time, and the more I came back to my senses, the more this journey lost its meaning. But I didn't even consider suspending this journey because of that. If I stopped this journey, it'll mean acknowledging the message from that witch was an illusion. And I felt as though that meant throwing away the promise the witch made, and any chance that someone from my family might come back. So because it was hard to believe that those events were an illusion, I continued on my journey. I don't seriously believe that this journey will change anything. It's even up to me when to end this journey. It's up to me to choose where the final destination is. In the end, this journey is only for my self-satisfaction. Self-satisfaction, huh? Sounds bad when you say it, but I think that's actually what life is all about. Oh. If that's the answer you reach after hovering over the light between life and death in the mercenary business, that's probably pretty deep. Don't take it so lightly. What I'm trying to say is that the only one who can acknowledge you in this world is you yourself. Amakusa continued stretching as he spoke, in an irritatingly fresh way. Hearing it told to me as though from a teacher made me instinctively want to resist, but what he was saying was extremely sensible. That may be true. People work hard when they want to be acknowledged by someone. In most cases, that someone is their parents. Children learn how to work hard because they want to be praised by their parents. Although that's why I never learned. Same, I don't have anyone either. Sorry, that's not how I meant it. What I'm trying to say is that there's nothing wrong with self-satisfaction. No matter who praises you, it's meaningless unless you can accept it. Turning it around, even if no one praises you, doesn't matter as long as you can accept it. Self-satisfaction tends to contradict the desire to improve oneself, so we're usually taught that it's bad. Somehow your argument seems like a pretty fresh take on it, Amakusa. The anguish of the human world comes when you want someone to acknowledge you, but you don't know what it is that you should be striving for. I had a time like that too. I wanted to be acknowledged by someone, but I didn't know what I wanted them to acknowledge about me. And since I didn't know what to strive for or how far I should go to be acknowledged, I did a lot of crazy things. And the answer you reached was self-satisfaction. It sounds bad, but that's how it is. Rich is the one who's content with what they are, they say. If I'm satisfied with my life, it doesn't matter what other people say. It's the same for your life and this journey. No one has any right to criticize you other than yourself, Angie. You're the only one who determines the meaning and the results of your journey. If it's been a meaningful journey for you, that's more than enough. I always did take you for a flippant ladies' man, but you really do say weird things every once in a while. I'll bet you think saying stuff like that will make you popular. Of course not, of course not. That's not what I meant at all. Looks like you want to be alone. I'll head over to the seaboat, Captain. Please take it easy. Amakusa apparently decided I was in a bad mood, although I didn't feel that way myself, or he might have finished a set of stretches and wanted to cool off in the shade. The sea winds were strong, but not enough to cool the rays of the sun. Amakusa disappeared. Only I remained. Self-satisfaction is life itself, huh? That's just boring. Life is nothing without greed. I noticed that Mammon had suddenly appeared, her abundant hair fluttering over by the prow of the ship. It's true that a life of greed would be fun, but unlike you, humans have a limited lifespan. If greed is eternal, that means a person will have desires even in the last moments before they die. Having desires means that there's something that you want, something you don't have, some way that you aren't complete. I'm sure it's tough to die when you can't think of your life as being a full one, so I'm sure self-satisfaction is necessary. I see. Because of the existence of a lifespan, you have to compromise like that? All my masters had very long lifespans, so I never thought of it. I wonder if humans live for the purpose of becoming satisfied. If so, it's probably easiest to live without desires. I see. So that's why greed is one of the 7 deadly sins. Your praise honors me. Apparently, that counted as a compliment in Mammon's eyes. She turned and gave a graceful bow. Angie, do humans live so that they can find satisfaction at the moment of their deaths? Wouldn't it be pretty tough if you felt like you were lacking something when you died? If so, then humans live only so that they can meet a satisfying death. They live so that they can have a better death. They live so that they can die. This kid's saying something pretty incredible. I see. As I'd expect from a demon steak. However, it might be the truth. Humans suffer because they aren't satisfied, and live only to find satisfaction. In other words, that might be the same as the desire to die satisfied. I can't counter that. People live in order to be satisfied, and they hope to die that way. So, it's really painful when you don't know how to find that satisfaction. Just how can you find something like that in a human's life? By being acknowledged, by hearing someone say that you are happy. If it doesn't matter who acknowledges them, then I'll do it. Yeah, that's the problem. People don't know who needs to acknowledge them. So searching for this person who can acknowledge them is the journey of their life? It sounds strange. Whether you're acknowledged or not, it supposedly doesn't change your circumstances. And yet if you are acknowledged, you'll be satisfied. While if you aren't, then you won't. It's almost like the blue bird. Because you can't notice the blue bird even though it's already in the cage. You have to go out on a journey searching everywhere. What the heck? Human lives sure are stupid. That's right. Amakusa said something really good. Rich is the one who is content with what they are, was it? I don't know where that proverb came from, but it's deep. Basically, if you can't find enough satisfaction unless someone else acknowledges you, that's the same as not acknowledging yourself. The ultimate in self-fulfillment is acknowledging yourself. That's right, because if you can know that you're fully satisfied, there's no need to be acknowledged by anyone. Just by taking notice of the small things, the human's fullest journey of life can be ended easily. You can spend the rest of your life playing and having a good time. A human's life is so ridiculous. Mamon's choice of words was bad, but it was surely the truth. Most of a human's life is a journey with the hopes that someone will acknowledge them, so that they can achieve a satisfied death. Then, when they realize that the person doing the acknowledging isn't someone else but they themselves, that pointless journey can end. Humans who have ended that journey can probably spend the rest of their lives as they wish, with their heads held high. How noble, how praiseworthy would that be? You know, it seems Amakusa is on pretty bad terms with his parents. That makes sense. Any decent parents would want him to get the hell out of the trade he's in. Does that really matter, though? As long as it's fun for the person in question. Exactly. That's what it comes down to in the end. Criticism formed by the observations of other people doesn't matter. If your existence is firmly acknowledged by you yourself, that's enough. If you can live with confidence in yourself, you'll surely be able to accept and be satisfied with any kind of lifestyle. I'm sure Amakusa will eventually eat a stray bullet on the battlefield and get seriously injured. He might even die. But I don't think he'd view it as something unfair. I'm sure he'd cackle about how that's also a part of life. I wish there were other people who let me view life that way. It's really, really tough. What a great way to live! I could fall for the guy! Pitiful humans who can't acknowledge themselves, wander about searching for that their whole lives, without anything being accepted. They do nothing but grumble and die while still unsatisfied. How pitiful. Compared to people whose lives drag on without any purpose. Amakusa is more likely to eventually die by the roadside, but I think he's much more noble for living his life with his head held high. Ah, yes. I live with people who only value safety. I would say that they aren't really living themselves. And worst of all, they're dragging other people down with them. When you shove it down people's throats, it's even worse. Never shove your lifestyle down other people's throats. Such shit. Aren't the winners in life those who achieve enlightenment? If they can't even do that a little sooner, they'll be able to live that much more their life effectively. With Mamon's words, I finally accepted a certain fact. In the past, I called that girl unusual, a little strange. However, that wasn't true. All she did was keep her head held high and finish that journey faster than anyone else. Maybe that's what made Maria so amazing. When she was at the age where she might or might not enter the first year of elementary school, she already reached that point. For people like us looking at her life from the outside, it wasn't something we'd call blessed. But even though days like that were engraved in her diary, they always finished up by saying it was a happy day. Even though the part of her mother that didn't love her daughter came and went, she believed that her mother loved her. The mother's love that didn't exist, she created herself, filling her world with love. Others might observe her as being an unsatisfied, pitiful girl, but she herself acknowledged that she was satisfied, and so she was happy that way. Yeah, I have to say that when, Maria was people think I'm pitiful? That's not, here's the thing, it's just I hate it when people look at me and think, oh, you're so pitiful. Yeah, I had a life kind of similar to Maria. There are certain points that were pretty similar. But to say that someone is pitiful when they themselves try with their efforts to be happy, that is disparaging their efforts. Fuck off if you judge them like that. If they can, make themselves happy or smile anyway, because they try. Because even happiness requires an effort. Even if it is tough. If you look at Higurashi and, you see with Rena. If you have that, even if it requires effort, even if it does take some effort to be happy, to smile or whatever, there's nothing wrong with that. And to just dismiss someone as saying, oh, but, their life is so tough. I mean, they always just smile, so they must be pitiful, right? I mean, I guess you can see it to an extent, but the fact that they can still laugh and smile, and, that they try, don't disparage that. Fuck off. That's like seeing them as weak and pathetic. Fuck off. Fuck off with that. Pisses me off. Here's the thing. When people, ask for help or something, or, I feel like whenever people have to ask for help, but they're, literally crying, I feel like they have to be miserable, or, that's letting yourself be vulnerable, when it's just kind of why do people have to do that in order for people to care? You know? Yeah, you can see someone that's struggling, even if they seem happy. But I don't know. I just think that people should be helped, regardless of whether they are crying or whether they are sad. And, and I don't know. I just don't think that someone should have to make themselves seem unhappy as how their lives are if it's really tough in order for people to want to help them. When I see people who talk about their tough situations, they shouldn't have to cry and beg or feel miserable or feel trapped in that sense that they have to cry their eyes out or something in order to get help. I just feel everybody has their own thing and they should just, people should just go out of their way anyway, without having them to explain all of those tough details. I think that's really shitty. So anyway, yeah, that's my take. It's easy to observe something as pitiable and sad, but to her, that was an outsider's opinion, so it didn't matter. Whether or not it was happy for her was the only important thing. It's just like how when people who live in the city point to the lifestyles of those in the rural areas and mourn their inconvenience and feel sympathy for them, it's really none of their business. If those who live their lives satisfied with what they have, that's more than enough. Was the country mouse or the city mouse? I'm sorry, I'm trying to make a Chainsaw Man reference. I'm bad at it. It's been a while. I've only read like part 1. I mean, I read some part 2, but then I forgot. I'm just gonna read it again when it's like finished. I finally noticed something. I noticed it just now. I did something horrible to Maria, and to you all and Sakutaro as well on that day. Whether magic exists or not, that's not up to other people to decide. It's up to you yourself. Whether magic exists to Maria is a problem for Maria to decide, not me. And yet, when I was young on that day, I said it. By saying there was no way magic exists, I hurt her. The fact that magic doesn't exist in my eyes matters in my world, but denying it, even in One-chan's world, for that reason was totally misguided. Mariage Sorcière is a witches' alliance Maria created. I was invited into it and told to become a witch with them. Thinking it a new interesting game, I went along with that for a while. But because of that cruelty of youth, I got tired of it halfway through, and I tore her pure heart apart with sharp words. At that time, we must have gotten into a huge fight. I forgot about it right away, but she couldn't forget about it. After all, to her, magic was a natural power that really existed, and she believed that she might be able to share it with me. To Maria, magic is a power that can interpret the world as blessed. No, which can make truly everything blessed. She just wanted to share that with me too. The young me tore that feeling apart, so she closed herself up in a shell, assuming that she wouldn't be able to share her magic with anyone. If that's true, then Lady Maria's journey through life wasn't over after all. If she'd been able to accept herself, then there'd be no need to collapse just because you denied her, Angie. Oni-chan was young. She still hadn't reached a philosophical viewpoint like Amakusa. Yeah, now I understand. Outside the witches' alliance called Mariage Sorcière was necessary. An alliance where each other acknowledges that the other is a witch. That's right. I'm pretty sure that was the first article in the agreement of Mariage Sorcière. Witches of the alliance would acknowledge each other and respect each other. That's the deepest and only meaning of the witches' alliance. Maria wanted to share with me the secret laws to make the world happy called magic, but I was young. And she was too. I hurt her with innocent cruelty. On that day, I said cruel things. To you all and Sakutaro, I said there was no way that you exist. How rude! We acknowledge that we exist ourselves. We're not like humans with their souls half asleep. I think, therefore I am. Whether you acknowledge or deny magic, the existence of magic called the 7 Sticks of Purgatory is a fact. As long as we acknowledge it ourselves, to borrow your words. It truly would be violence for another person like me to deny it. I'm sure that'd be like having your true mother yell, "I wish you had never been born." No, disappear. Even after being slammed by all those words, Maria's magic made her believe in her mother's love. Sakutaro, her magic friend, always encouraged her. He kept saying that her mother loved her, that she was coming home late because of her work, and that she would definitely bring back a present. Even after Maria learned that her mother's work wasn't really the cause, magic allowed her to continue believing. And by believing that her mother loved her, by acknowledging herself, she filled her world with love and peace and serenity, establishing it completely. What happened 12 years ago? What happened to my family? This was never a journey to search for that. Then what kind of journey is this? It was a journey to apologize to Maria for what happened that day. I don't know why, but that's what I think. If I hadn't hurt her, the incident 12 years ago might not have occurred. That's what I think. I have no basis for it. I don't have a clue how hurting One-chan could be connected with that mysterious incident several years later, but for some reason I can't imagine that there's no connection. A witch caused that incident. The culprit is the Golden Witch Beatrice, and Beatrice was part of the Mariage Sorcière alliance of witches. I horribly hurt the other witch of that alliance. I hurt her with the thought that magic doesn't exist. So several years later, a crime caused by a witch occurred, and a 2-day period that couldn't be explained with anything but magic was thrust in my face thanks to that message bottle. There's no way I wasn't involved somehow. I don't get it. It could be a coincidence or it could be fate. For some reason, I started thinking like that on this journey. And what is your basis for it? I have none. I just think it's true. The Japanese sure are interesting. Even when they're the victim, they feel as though they did something wrong and apologize for no reason. I could understand if you say, I hate Beatrice for stealing my family or something, but you really are weird feeling guilty for no reason and apologizing. Of course I hate Beatrice. I couldn't continue this journey without that feeling. But it's okay to choose yet another purpose for this journey. There's nothing wrong with adding on a goal of apologizing for past sins, in addition to getting revenge on a witch for what happened 12 years ago. I can at least go to Rokkenjima, apologize for my reckless remarks, and offer flowers. No, there's something better than flowers, and I think that would be more fitting for One-chan. I stood up, not minding that the sea breeze scattered my hair, and concentrated my mind. I lifted my palm up to the height of my head, imagined a vast space. Angie, be quiet. Come, arise. I'm the witch apprentice, Angie Beatrice. I was excommunicated, but I was once a member of the same alliance. And your dearly missed furniture who played with me. Answer to my call. It was hard to tell in the middle of the day, but a faint blue light gathered around the palm of my hand. Then, Sakutaro's form was revived. It truly did bring back memories, that figure. His cute ears, his bright red muffler. It came off easily, so One-chan faithfully rewrapped it all the time, didn't she? Sakutaro, do you recognize us? Do you know who we are?
Uryu, Mammon, Angie.
With a sleepy face as though waking up from a long slumber, Sakutaro looked all around him as he spoke. It's been a long time, Sakutaro. I'm pretty sure this is the first time I summoned you with my own power, and now I'm the only one who can summon you.
Uryu.
Those words might have been a bit cruel. Sakutaro's face clouded over. In the past, I denied you. Now that I've summoned you, it means I accepted your existence.
Are you sure? Is it really alright for me to be summoned into Angie's world?
His eyes were a bit frightened. It was only natural. I, who had played with him like a friend before, had suddenly denied him and tried to burn him with a magic-resistant toxin. It was only natural that he was scared. I apologize for that day, to you too, Mammon, and to the rest of you. At some point, the rest of the Seven Sisters had gathered on the deck. No, they were always there, always by my side. As long as I acknowledge that it's okay for them to be there, they'll always appear. You certainly do exist, Lucifer, and Leviathan, and Satan, and Belphegor, and Mammon, and Beelzebub, and Asmodeus, and Sakutaro too. Are you sure? You're the one challenging Beatrice, Angie. Is it okay for the one in the position of denying witches to acknowledge us? As to whether magic exists or not in my world, sorry, but let me put that on hold. It's not like I myself acknowledge the existence of magic. But then, doesn't that contradict the fact that you're acknowledging us? It's because magic exists for people who believe, even if I don't. If someone believes, then magic will exist in the human world. That fact won't change in the slightest whether I believe in magic or not. No, it mustn't change. That person just had to hold their head high and believe in their own magic. I acknowledge that. So it wouldn't be strange at all for you to exist. Quite a play on words, but it's interesting interpretation. Oops, my bad. Let's try that again. Quite a play on words, but it's an interesting interpretation. What you're saying, Angie, is probably a devil's proof. A devil's proof.
Right? To prove the existence of demons, you just need to find one. But it's impossible to deny the existence of demons.
And we're here. That means whether Angie believes in magic or not, Our existence is unshakable.
Uryu, the magic-resisting toxin is disappearing from Angie.
You're right. Even though you're in the position of denying magic, why? That's probably because I learned what it means to respect and acknowledge. Right now, I might be able to understand the depths of Maria and Beatrice's magic. In the past, I didn't believe in things like magic. Thinking something like that couldn't exist, I acted like I was closing my eyes tightly and couldn't see anything. But now I'm different. I get the feeling I can look right at the thing called magic, close in on its true nature. How frustrating. It truly is rare to find a human so free of the magic-resisting toxin in this day and age, and she has such an uncommon genius for being a witch.
That's right. If Angie tried to become a witch right now, she could grow into a great witch, and maybe even Beatrice's level.
Even so, she has acknowledged our existence and is our master. Most likely, Angie will be our final master. Let us think of this as our final service and apply ourselves to the fullest.
Nah, but I just can't stand that Angie still doesn't believe in magic herself. Angie, please believe in magic too. It feels like a waste to finally have a master and have it not be a witch.
Even though you have outstanding talent that could make you one of the greatest witches, your goal is to attack witches. It's so frustrating. Well, even so, that's your life, the way you live. And in the world where you decided that, there's nothing we can do to complain. Thanks for understanding me. Yeah, whether magic exists to me or not, that's up to me to decide, regardless of whether magic actually does exist somewhere in the world or not. When I think about it, this world is so vast, and yet so small. Billions of people live on the earth, but I probably won't even meet even 1% of those people. Even so, I will speak of a world, my world, which doesn't even know 1% of the world. I'm not qualified to deny the laws of a world I don't know. So just because magic doesn't exist in my world, I can't deny that magic exists in a world I don't know. That's what makes it a true devil's proof. No, maybe it's more like when in Rome, do as the Romans do. I can be confident in the world I know, so even if it's denied by a complete stranger who doesn't know a thing about my world, that's nothing to worry about. In the same way, I've got no right to deny a world I don't know, just because I don't know about it. Therefore, regardless of whether there's magic in my world or not, I can't deny the magic Maria taught me.
Uryu, after all, even if you've never seen it, magic exists.
Yes, that's why, as I already said, you Friends of the Witches Alliance, Mariage Sorcière, can't be denied by me or anyone else. I proclaim that most important part again. Even though the sea breeze and the crashing of the waves were noisy, it was a time of silence. Both Sakutaro and the Seven Sisters of Purgatory reflected upon my words. And probably I did too. Does magic exist? Do witches exist? While ignoring that answer would be for my own world, I acknowledge their existence. That contradiction was what I proclaimed so boldly.
Thank you, Angie.
If you acknowledge that much, can't you acknowledge witches too? No, that was a foolish question. You already have a clear answer to it. Sorry, though I do acknowledge that witches might exist somewhere in this world, but that doesn't shake my world. You won't acknowledge witches or magic. You'll definitely expose the truth of Rokenjima. Right? Yes. That's my world. Even if a real witch exists, I won't acknowledge it in my world, no matter how much that witch tries to convince me. Your position is to attack witches, Angie. And I understand well that you haven't the slightest wavering in that feeling. We are Furniture, the Seven Sisters of Purgatory. We will always be by your side, and we'll always be waiting for that day that we can be useful.
Although since you don't believe in magic, we can never be anything more than people to talk to.
That's enough for now. We've been left room to exist. For that alone, we should thank and acknowledge Angie.
In short, all of us are all together again. Uryu.
When Sakutaro was overcome with emotion and tears came to his eyes, the seven sisters closed in and mobbed him. They were also celebrating a long-missed reunion. If their existence is permitted, they're definitely capable of existing here. No, even if I don't permit it, they can exist. Because I acknowledge them. They showed their reunion's joy to me as well. As I watched over that scene, I reflected over what this journey of mine meant. I wonder if everyone will forgive me this way. You've done enough. We are furniture. Just being summoned, just being allowed to be by your side makes us happy.
Uryu, Angie, thank you very much.
Come to think of it, why was I able to summon Sakutaro? No, it's the other way around. Why wasn't One-chan able to summon Sakutaro? Maria had despaired, thinking that Sakutaro had died, which meant she hadn't been able to summon him like this anymore. In the past, One-chan said it was more advantageous in a summoning to have a vessel. However, a vessel is like training wheels. It shouldn't be absolutely necessary. In other words, even if the stuffed animal lion that was Sakutaro's vessel didn't exist, it should be possible to summon him. No, when you put it like that, it's even a little doubtful whether summoned things can be limited by life and death. Moreover, Sakutaro should have been an especially important friend to Maria. She should have been able to strive hard to summon him one more time. It certainly was said that the original stuffed animal vessel had been torn apart, but why did he die and become impossible to summon again?
That's because at that time Maria saw my stuffed animal torn and decided that I died.
There's a hint in that somewhere. It's the same as the existence of magic. If Sakutaro has died in Lady Maria's world, then he can't exist in her world.
Uryu.
The shock of having her beloved stuffed animal torn apart had left a wound in her heart serious enough to prevent her from summoning her irreplaceable close friend. In Maria's eyes, Sakutaro died. So even if Sakutaro can exist like this to me, he cannot exist before her.
I was always with Maria. When Maria cried, I was always right beside her telling her not to cry. But my form, my voice, nothing of me will reach Maria now.
Sakutaro hung his head, looking sad. After that incident, the nature of Mariage Sorcière rapidly began to change. Before then, the alliance was a peaceful thing. But after that incident, it grew full of shadier things, focusing on how to curse people you hate. One-chan's diary began to show a clear change. A diary is a mirror that reflects one's heart as it is. It probably showed the personality called Maria die, and be reborn as an evil witch personality, Maria. When she buried that diary in hatred and sadness, her heart surely wasn't satisfied. Because it wasn't satisfied, she had to bury it with hatred and sadness. And while still unsatisfied, she met with death. I wonder if her unsatisfied soul has a hole open in its chest from sadness even now, and continually wanders, dripping tears down and calling Sakutaro's name. One-chan needs you.
Uryu.
What can I do to revive you in Maria's world? If I can learn that method, I'll be able to save One-chan. That's the method of atonement I've been given. What can be done to revive Sakutaro?
To Maria, my vessel had a very important meaning.
The vessel. In other words, if we could revive the lion stuffed animal.
But Mama Rosa made my stuffed animal herself so she could make it.
Even inside the diary, Maria had asked this of Beatrice and was refused for that reason. The magical significance of a stuffed animal being unique and handmade is very large. Then if we can make the same thing once more. But Aunt Rosa is already gone from this world. We can't make the same thing again. Was there ever another identical stuffed animal made or anything like that? He's a stuffed animal made to be Lady Maria's birthday present and is the only one of his kind in the world. A handmade and unique vessel. That's why it conceals a great magical power. And If lost, it cannot be obtained again. It won't revive.
What do you...
Because she knew that. Maria watched that stuffed animal, which was unique in that world, get torn apart. And despaired. Because it was the only one of its kind in the world. As she couldn't permit a compromise, such as buying another one. She had despair from the bottom of her heart. But Sakutaro is right here. Even without a vessel, he's here. Because I acknowledge that he certainly exists in my world. Even if Maria doesn't acknowledge him, that cannot be denied, right? Logically, that's true, but I think using the same logic to make Lady Maria accept him could be difficult.
Maria, I'm not dead. I'm right here. What do you...
I'm sure that on Rokenjima, I'll be able to be reunited with Maria. And no matter what, I'll revive the you that's inside One-chan and let you be reunited.
Can you do it?
It'll probably be hard. Just like how, after being invited to the Witches' Alliance, I rejected it without understanding what it meant. She might also reject your existence. But I've got to do it. That's the only way I can atone for my sins. Angie. What's waiting on Rokenjima? And what will happen? What will be created? Or maybe nothing will happen. That island, which was the beginning of everything, is the final destination of this journey. You are all the furniture of a witch, so as your master, I have to take you home. To the Witch's Island, to Rokenjima. Even though the rays of the sun had been so strong at some point, clouds had started to hang down. The spray that hit my cheek might not all have come from the crashing waves. Angie, looks like we're gonna get a bit of a shower. Maybe you better go below deck. Amakusa called out to me with an expression that said, "Oh, you're still here?" When I looked up, I saw the island's silhouette had gotten much larger. We might reach land very soon. I remember the weather report had mentioned scattered rains. The sky wasn't dark enough for rain clouds. It probably will be just for a short time. Even though the rain was light enough not to be a pain. Having rain to start to fall as we approached the island felt like some kind of fate. It was raining on October 4th, 1986 as well. I'm approaching the Rokenjima of that day, and not just in the distance. I went back down with Amakusa. He was carrying what looked like a really large and heavy golf bag. It was something Amakusa had brought with him on a day when we split up. I didn't inquire to its contents, but it was hard to imagine that they were anything peaceful. I won't go as far as ask what's inside, but it looks heavy. Why these things are so darn heavy all the time? A French instructor taught me something interesting about that once. He said they should always be heavy. After all, a human life is heavier than the world, so these should be even heavier. It'd be nice if you didn't need to use them. That would be nice. Amakusa set down the golf bag-like luggage down beside him. That's probably important to take a note of. There are a lot of things in episode 4 that aren't explained unless you read the manga. So I will explain some of those not right away. But I will eventually start putting out certain answers. But I don't know, try to think of it yourself. A 2-propeller aircraft touched down on the runway. Considering the weather, it couldn't have been a pleasant flight. Everything after this flight had been suspended due to weather. Cutting through the drizzle as she transfers through the runway, Sumidera Kasumi entered the lobby with 2 black suits as guards. The 4 black suits who had been waiting inside the lobby stood up and respectfully lowered their heads in salute. Kasumi! Propeller planes certainly do shake. I wouldn't want to ride one again. We have a car prepared. Please, this way. They got into the 2 luxury cars that had been rented. Angie should be heading for Rokenjima, a deserted island. How convenient. You've arranged for some tools, I take it? Yes, ma'am. Watch as how little invested I am. The black suit in the passenger seat put a heavy bag that had been set by his feet onto his lap and opened the catch with a click as Sho Kasumi was inside. Inside were several silver lumps of carefully wrapped aluminum foil. He peeled one open to show her. A black blunt automated pistol peeked its face out. Watch as I hate Kasumi.